this talk about life balance between more or less a spiritual path and living in the world. First of all, living in the world, when you are starting, you have goals, you have ambitions. And now, for most people who don't have a spiritual path, they have only one goal, Whatever the goal is, the ambition to be, first of all, it is important to determine that the goals you are chasing are worth chasing in the first place. Now, how do you determine whatever that you want to achieve is worth pursuing? The first thing to know is what is your contribution towards society or the world. This is, if you like, our legacy. This is one of the reasons why we come into this world. Now, you can say that I'm going to live my life for myself, right? Now, when you pass away, you haven't contributed anything to anybody. Okay? Whether it be your family, your friends, or society, right? Now, living for yourself is not a life worth living for. And there are many reasons. So, most important is that when we contribute to other people, we get another form of happiness. Happiness that you've never come across before. And in Buddhism, it's called mudita. Joy is the joy of others. You get your feeling of happiness not because you are happy, but because someone else is happy. Now that kind of happiness lasts. Every time you recollect, oh, this person is happy because I've done something. Are you happy? Right? Whereas if you're concerned with your own happiness, that's it. Yeah, I was happy, I'm not happy now. Right? I got to change for something else. Right? So joy in the joy of others is a spiritual happiness. Right? So that is something that is worth aiming for. Right? Contribution to other people's happiness. The other reason for not chasing for something just for yourself is because one becomes selfish, right? One thinks about oneself. Oneself is the world. Nothing else matters, right? And when we do it in that way, we tend to go the wrong way, right? We tend to think about what I can get, right? Now, in Buddhism, there is this thing called generosity. There is this thing called karma. That means whatever good that you do for others, you get it back. Right? So whatever you good that you do for yourself, you can't get it back. Right? But the thing is, when you think about yourself, the way tends to be the way of selfish. When you think about the good of others, the way tends to be the way of generosity. Right? When you're generous to other people, people become generous to you. It's natural. When you respect others, people respect you. And that's the law of karma. When you're selfish to other people, people are selfish with you. So when we are determining our ambition or our goals in life, we have to think in terms of what good we can do for us, right? As well as for ourselves. Sacrificing oneself for others is not the Buddhist way, right? In the Buddhist way, the way of metta, loving kindness, is loving others as well as loving ourselves. There are, if you like, can say, 4 types of persons. The Buddha says, going from the worst type of person is a person who does no good to himself and no good to others as well. Second type of person is somebody who does good for himself but no good to others. Third type of person who does good for others but not for himself. And the last 4th type of person is somebody who does good for himself and for others. The Buddha is somebody like that. So we want to emulate the Buddha, do things good for ourselves and for others. So everybody can get this. You don't have to suffer for others to be happy, but you have to sacrifice. Right? So when you make up your goals in whatever that you are doing, you want to think about others, no matter what you want to do, right? Say, I want to, this is something very simple, I want to make a lot of money, something very simple, I want to help a lot of people. And that's a good goal or ambition itself because you put others first. Right? So if you think, I'm going to make a lot of money for myself, I'm happy, have that and have that, then in halfway you find that it's worthless. The happiness you get is worthless. Right? But when you think, when you're working for others, then you see the joy in other people, and that's the kind of joy you can have, joy in the joy of others, and you can continue, with your goal if you set it right, correctly. That's the first thing, your goal and ambition. Now coming to people who have both the spiritual path and the life in the world, then there has to be a compromise, right? In a sense that you have to divide your time between your spiritual path and your life in the world, a worldly life. There's no question about it. You have 18 hours, 18 hours. Some time has to be spent working towards the spiritual life. 5 times has to be spent living in the world, a worldly life. Now, when you set up your goals, you want to set up realistic goals, that you can achieve. Right? Now, when I talk about sacrifice time for the spiritual life, sacrificing living in the world, it doesn't have to be the same from the beginning to the end. Right? In the beginning, you can say, oh, I'm going to spend 1.5 hours doing meditation. That's it. And the rest of the time, you can spend your effort in working towards your goal. Right? But as you go along, in the beginning, you have to develop a foundation to the spiritual life. You still have to build a foundation to your worldly life. Right? So the foundation towards the spiritual life doesn't take a lot of time. And the first thing to develop is a powerful mind through meditation. With the worldly life, you need to acquire a lot of knowledge, acquire a lot of experience. One of the important things in living in the worldly life is to understand people, communicating with people, right? And in your meditation practice, you come to know yourself, right? And that knowledge, you can infer, because I think this way, because I have this development, because I have this generosity, right? Then other people work according to this way. The way we work goes according to dependent origination. The way other people work also depends on dependent origination. Right? So what you gather from your spiritual practice, you can carry it on to your worldly life, living in the world. You must do that. Right? When you're living in the world, you are also facing challenges. Right? And with that challenge, you become wiser. Only if you follow the structure of the Buddhist training, right? Because the structure in the Buddhist training is about how we operate. And the one thing that we know is the process of dependent origination. Simply put, depending on contact with the 6 sense objects, feeling arises. Depending on feeling, craving arises. Depending on craving, there is a clinging. That's it. So every feeling that that arises in us depends on context, right? So when we know this truth, right, we carry it on into the world, right? So the other things that you come across, what it is, mental identities and all that. So if you do not know at the present moment, it doesn't matter, right? Later on, you come across it, right? But the important thing is to be able to carry the insight that you gain from your practice, spiritual practice, into the worldly life in the beginning. Now later on in your life, while you're living in the world, you develop insight about yourself, about other people, and about relationships. See the reality of things. Living in the world, you have goals, you have ambition, right? And the basic is you must have the four requisites. This is something very basic. Even monks need. Without these four requisites, they cannot function, right? They cannot do their practice. So in the worldly life, you still need these four requisites. What are those? You must have shelter. That means you must have a place to live. If you don't, your mind will be preoccupied, unsettled, right? Food, right? That means you must have enough money to be able to feed yourself. With the monks, they depend on the people, right? So they must live in a community where people support a monk. If the monk happens to live in a community where he doesn't get support, then he will leave. You cannot practice. So you need accommodation, shelter. You need to have enough money to buy food. You need clothing, right? And medicine. In certain countries, we have the national health service, but in other countries, you don't have that kind of service. So you have to have be able to provide medical care for yourself. So those are the four basics. You have to make sure you have that living in the world. Right? Accommodation, food, clothing, and medicine. Now, with the spiritual path, we have an immediate goal. Right? So in your spiritual path, you have first goal that you need to achieve, and that is to develop your concentration and mind. That's the basic. So in the worldly life, you have the immediate goal. That is the foundation. The foundation that is your tertiary education. Now that's kind of a basic, tertiary education. And the right foundation as well. So in meditation, you have to do the right type of meditation as well. One that develops concentration and mind. So in the world, we have to have the right foundation. You cannot study accountancy and then try to be a physicist. But you can be a physicist and then study physics and then be an accountant. So you have to have a solid foundation. So that's the medium. Now, when we live in this life, the first thing we have to know is the difference between wanting, desire, craving, and need to do. There is a separation in Buddhism. Desire, wanting, craving comes from our feelings. We want it because we like it. Simply, You want it because you like it, because it feels good to have it, right? Whatever you want to do, walk in the park, have a chat, go to the pub, see a show, that's driven by feeling. Now that's the other part, which is the need to do, right? Your room is messy, you need to tidy, right? And that comes from clear comprehension, from awareness. Oh, my room is very messy. I need to empty out the rubbish, or else it smells. Right? That needs to do. That doesn't come from within you. That comes from the awareness of your environment. Right? That comes, if you like, from inside. All this room needs to be tidied up. One thing to help other people is your desire. Seeing that other people need help comes from wisdom. Right? You see what's happening. You see this person needs help. Whether it's just having a place to sit down, opening the door, doesn't matter what it is. Right? People needing help. You wanting to help other people, just thinking, I want to help this person. But whether the person needs help or not, you have no idea. Right? So wanting to help comes from within us, but needing to needing satisfying a need for help comes from wisdom. Okay, so we have to know the difference between these. So as you progress, right, in your career, you have to determine what you need to do. That's important. Without satisfying or accomplishing the need to do, you cannot go further. Because whatever that is further depends on this need to do at this particular moment. Right? So you need to complete your assignment to get particular points or whatever. There's no running away. Whatever you want to do, you've got to abandon that. You've got to let go of desire. Right? There is an ending of the many things that you want to do. Whatever you think, whatever you desire to do, many of them. But the need to do is different. It comes at this particular moment, only one. Right? If you don't complete your assignment, that's it. Too late. There's no way of going back. Right? So the need to do is very important. Right? So you cannot abandon what you need to do. You have only this one chance. Whatever you desire to do, there's plenty of time to do it. Plenty of time to satisfy your desires. Having said what I've said so far, I have based on the assumption that you keep the 5 precepts. Buddhism is about moral integrity, right? It's about doing something ethical. Because there is a result from your action. There's no question about it. There is a result. People who don't believe in cause and effect, and try to run out naked in the street and see what happens. You don't know what the consequence of the result is going to be. And it's definitely not going to be something good. Right? If you do something good, you go out and do something good, and you know what the result is. Right? So it's cause and effect. So in all we do, we have to keep the basic 5 precepts. No question about it. If you want to succeed in your goal. Well, the 5 precepts basically we abstain from killing. So abstaining from killing has a spectrum of results and severity. If you kill mosquito, that's different from killing a horse. Large animals. Abstain from stealing. Steal some pens, from your department. It's different from stealing something from the shop. Right. So abstain from sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct means having sex outside what society considers as acceptable. Abstain from saying what's not true, telling lies. And the last one is abstain from carelessness or heedlessness through intoxicants. This is particularly important because you have to reach, I have 2 pounds or 3 pounds. We don't know what state of mind you have. But if you're not going to do anything that's important for the next, say, 12 hours or so, then you can have a drink. But you're going to do something, within the next 12 hours or so, then it's advisable, not to have a drink. Now, this depends on the person himself. There's a caveat to it, it's definite that different people have different alcohol tolerance. I'm just talking about alcohol. I'm not talking about drugs. That's definitely wrong, because that's addictive. You cannot break that addiction. Social drinking, that's okay. But then again, when I say depend on people, I'm not saying depend on your own judgment. You cannot. You have to depend on other people's judgment. You ask people whether you're tipsy or not, whether you got to trust the other person. You got to make sure that the person you ask is not tipsy as well. Right? But each person has different levels of tolerance. So you definitely want to have in the worldly life as well as the spiritual life. Sometimes you come to a point in your life where I'm fed up of the worldly life. I'm going to go and pursue a spiritual life. When you do that, you've got to find out that you're running away from the worldly life into spiritual life. If you are running away, that's no good. You cannot do that. That means you cannot cope with that. That is an aversion. Right? You wanted to go into the spiritual life from a negative point of view, not a positive point of view. Right? You go into the spiritual life from aversion. You know, there are reasons. There are ways in which you go from a worldly life into the spiritual life, but it's not true aversion. It's what you call disenchantment. Disenchantment with what the worldly life can be, and that's different from aversion. Aversion means you cannot cope with the worldly life. Right? Now, if you can't cope with the worldly life, it means you haven't got the wisdom to handle whatever that's thrown at you. Right? You have to find a solution to that. You can't find a solution. You find a monk and an architect, then he'll tell you how to solve that problem. Right? Basically, the suffering comes through two causes. One is craving for something, craving to have, craving to be something. There's a difference between craving and aiming. Craving is one thing. Aiming is focusing or having a direction towards a particular result. Right? So craving for something or craving to be. So you don't want to crave, you want to aim, and you do want it to be done. Right? The other cause of suffering is holding on to the view. View of this is the way it should be. You work in a company, they have their ways of doing it. And you think it is wrong. This is not efficient. Right? But it is the way the company has functioned for many, many years. And if you're very junior, you don't go in and start trying to change things. You do not have the experience, ways of experience or knowledge to know. Right? So when you are a junior, you learn, you follow. Let go of your view on how things should be. Accept it. And then progress from there. So when you're a manager, then you can decide on probably a different way of doing things. And you can also take into account, the people who are working under you find acceptable or is able to carry out your way of doing. Right. So holding on to the view of the way things should be done, how to let go. There is an exception to that. The way of doing things breaks the five precepts, and it's morally wrong, ethically wrong. Then you do not submit to that. Okay? If somebody asks you to go on a sales and then tell a lot of lies just to get a sale, you don't do that. Right? You destroy your whole reputation, future reputation. That's one of the things. You can't translate scholarly. That's it. So A is morally acceptable. So yeah, if you like the company view, that you do what you can, whether it's right or wrong, get a sale. That is, you cannot extend, agree to that. So you have to keep throughout your life. You got to keep your 5 precepts, right? Because your 5 precepts is kind of your guard that protects you from falling away, from getting into trouble in the future. And the last one, which is view about yourself. Suffering comes from your view. Suffering comes from your view of other people. View of self, only a view of self. It's not true. You believe you're like that because you have a very strong view of yourself, which becomes belief. You believe other people are like that because you have a strong view of others that become belief. You have to know, you have different views of yourself. When you're feeling good, you say, yeah, I'm great, I'm one of the top 5 people, When you're not feeling well, you say, I'm the worst of the lot. So which view is correct? Yeah, just views, views that you form, depending on your mood. You're high, you're low. So you want to know, oh, this is how, this is the view, how I feel, this is my view of myself. That's it. Just a view. It's not true. Not sure that this is who you are. Not sure this is who I become. Okay? So let's go on that view. When your mood changes, your view changes. Yourself and I'm not going to go into detail with that because I will be talking about that in my other courses. So with the spiritual path, as you progress in your career, you have to sacrifice time. Carry on your spiritual path. Sometimes in your life, you may be able to devote more time to spiritual path. Sometimes in your worldly life, you may not. Right? You have to accept that. But you still sacrifice some time to devote towards even not progressing your spiritual life, but maintaining your spiritual life. Right? When I'm talking about spiritual life, I'm not talking about something extreme. I'm just talking about doing the things that you need to do. And those things are keeping the 5 precepts in your life, worldly or spiritual. That's the atom. Second, do your meditation practice. In a spiritual life, you need a meditation practice. In Buddhism. And the third one is to be mindful, be aware, of what's arising in you, everything in you. Yeah. So that constitutes the spiritual life. Right? So if you can be aware while you are living in the world, that isn't bad. So you come see your tendency, your conditioning. And what's important, you come to see other people's conditioning. Not what other people are like, but other people's conditioning. Other people's conditioning. We are all conditioned from our previous life, from the day we are born, by our parents, by our relatives, by our friends, by our teachers, by the society we live in, by the books we read. We don't go to the bookshop and buy a book we don't like. Right? Nobody ever does that. They go to that particular section, which you like. That's your conditioning. Right? So when you see your conditioning, then you are able to accept other people's conditioning. The more acceptable to other people's conditioning, because you know yourself, you are a conditioned being. Neither perfect nor imperfect conditioning. So other people are like that. Neither perfect nor imperfect. Just conditioning. Then you can accept the conditioning. Because you will have to accept your conditioning, whether you like it, whether they like it. You tend towards a particular way of speaking. You tend towards a particular way of liking, disliking things. Liking and disliking other people. Okay. You can go as far as you want towards your worldly life. It depends on the person. How successful you are in worldly life depends on your wisdom, right? And knowledge. And the wisdom comes from knowing yourself and knowing comes from your spiritual. Another thing, success in the worldly life depends on your karma, what you've done in the past, and that includes in your karma. Doesn't matter whether you believe in the past life or not, but in Buddhism, there is karma. The fact you are born in a particular country, in a particular family, in a particular order in your family, it's all due to karma. There's no chance. In the world of physics, things don't happen by chance. Right? Everything has equal. So, in this life, where we were born, which family, which society is due to causes in the past. So that can affect, that does affect, what can that does affect how successful you are. There are what you call some supportive karma, destructive karma. By the definition, we know what it is called. In the pursuit of your goal, some obstructive karma can be supportive of your spiritual life. So all that is complicated, but you just know that there are forces working beyond your control. Right? And if you have a spiritual life, your worldly life, I would say maybe it can be quite successful. There's no question. If you have only a worldly life, it will be hard successful having a worldly life and a spiritual life. Because understanding the world, which means understanding the situation you are in, society, company, your path of progress, depends on understanding yourself, understanding your tendencies, understanding your good tendencies, understanding your bad tendencies, which is your defilement. And developing a spiritual life, develop your heart, develop generosity, develop compassion, develop equanimity. Most important, develop joy in the joy of others. So, developing a spiritual life will enhance your worldly life. But the path of the spiritual life towards the end is different from the path of the worldly life. That should be clear. Because the path of the worldly life is about acquiring more things, acquiring better things. The spiritual life towards the end, I'm not talking about the beginning, towards the end, it's about letting go of attachment to things. Living a simple life, not being a slave to all these possessions. You have to look after your house, you have to look after your car, you have to look after a big family, you have to look after your parents, children. Yeah. I'm talking about food here. We can learn slowly to let go. So each person, as you progress, you try to maintain the balance. How much preoccupation with the worldly life, how much preoccupation with the spiritual life. At this moment, you do not know. Right? As you progress in life, so that will change. It doesn't matter. Whatever decision you make is dependent on your conditioning. And if you are aware of your conditioning, then you are able to change that a little bit or more, depending on the power of your mind, depending on your wisdom. Right? So what do we know? We know that everything is uncertain. Right? We have a goal in the spiritual life, in the worldly life. We know what we need to do. We know what we want to do. We have to do what we need to do. That's important. And if you can't do that, that means you're treading your path correctly. You are living the best. So, when you come to know that all things in the future is uncertain, then it opens up a lot to the right? Positively. So whatever you think as important, maybe it's just natural for you. So when you come to think of things you like to do and you want to do and you need to do to be able to succeed, then go for it. Don't be limited by how you think about yourself. It's just a view. And that's condition. It's how your parents see you, how your friends see you, how you see yourself. And those are all views that go. You don't have to pick up their views. You don't have to pick up your views. You depend on what you like to achieve, what you want to achieve, and what you need to do to achieve. Because caveat is whatever you are going to achieve is worth achieving. There's no question about it. Okay, I'm going to end here and see if anybody has any questions regarding what I just said.
Yeah, any question?
I have a question / comment for discussion. I know that at least in some Buddhist traditions, there is a saying that, well, in some Mahayana traditions, that this world of samsara can also be the pure land based on the conditioning of your mind, the state. Well, I actually shared some of it with Laura, that it depends on the state of your mind. And actually, there is no difference between spiritual life and worldly life, because every challenge you experience in the world, you can transmute and use basically as an opportunity for spiritual growth. You can use every interaction that you have as an opportunity to practice and let go. Do you reckon that it is possible, perhaps at a more advanced stage, to have no distinction and no duality between spiritual path and worldly path?
I didn't hear clearly. Can somebody, can Himanta kind of summarize the last bit?
Bante, she was asking whether in advanced stages, can there be no difference between worldly life and spiritual life? Because the challenges that we experience in worldly life can enhance us in a spiritual life.
Exactly. So we take every challenge as an opportunity to practice.
So we take every challenge as an opportunity to practice, and then
spiritual growth.
she is asking whether in that stage, does the distinction between worldly life and spiritual life disappear, and do they become the same?
Yeah, it all depends on your definition of a spiritual life, right? If your definition of a spiritual life is in terms of just contributing happiness in the world to other people, and at the same time having happiness within yourself to do that, then it becomes one, right? What I'm talking about is something different, you know. So it depends on the level of the spiritual life that you define for yourself. You don't have to take on somebody's definition of a spiritual life, you know. You don't have to take on my definition of a spiritual life. So it all depends on the level of spiritual attainment that you want to. That's it. Yeah. So it can, yes, it can live. But if you want to get in Buddhism like truly enlightened, you know, become an arahant or a noble person, then it diverges to a certain extent. But if you want to become, say, not fully enlightened, but partially enlightened, then it can you can live a worldly life as well as a spiritual life. You can live a worldly life and a spiritual life to a very advanced stage. Right? That means, yeah. So what you define as a worldly life also is also important. If your definition of a worldly life is having good friends, family, and not being too burdened by, you know, 10 properties, 10 cars, or something like that, you know, but having a nice house to live in, car, so that's it. Then you can have both coming together. So it depends on your definition. Because different people have different ambitions. You know, I don't know what your ambition is. You know, you may say, yeah, I want to build this big corporation, you know, but you can't let go of this big corporation. You know. Or you're pursuing to win the Nobel Prize, you know, then it's going to be difficult to have those two come together. Okay, so it depends on your definition of what you want in your life. Okay, does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yes, Bhante, she said it's a.
It's an interesting take. Thank you for sharing.
Something is in my mind actually. I came across this idea of cutting off or getting rid of accumulated karma in order to reach liberation, and that happens through, at least within the framework, it happens through the mindfulness practice, but also through, no, exactly. I'm just interested, like, how to stop accumulating karma or clear it off while at the same time living in the world and pursuing our goals. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he meant that. Okay. Sorry.
Bhante, she is asking, so there are two parts of the question. So first she said she had heard about a teaching where we are ending our accumulated karma
Yeah.
and stop doing new karma to achieve liberation. So that's the first part. And then she is asking how to do that while living in the world. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
First, I didn't get about the accumulated karma and
so Bhante, she has heard about a teaching which says we have to burn away or finish off or remove our accumulated karma and stop creating new karma to reach liberation. And then she is asking how to do that while living in the world.
Is it even possible to live in the world, or do you literally just have to go to a monastery and cut yourself away and just practice?
That's not
that's the wrong view.
So that's interesting, yeah. But like, because I've been to live in a community, they're so committed, because also your way of life, even if you interact with people, has to be structured in a certain way to be able to reach that. So yeah.
Let me just say first, that's the wrong view. Right?
That's
That's the wrong view. Wrong view in the sense that you have to exhaust all your karma, accumulated karma. You cannot exhaust all your accumulated karma. You cannot. The way to liberation is not to exhaust your accumulated karma. The way to liberation is simply to get rid of greed, hate, and delusion. Right? That is, yeah. Okay.
Bhante, just a moment, because she didn't hear something, so I will repeat it for her. So Bhante said the view that you have to end your past karma is wrong view. The only way to reach liberation is by ending your greed, hatred, and delusion. That's
Okay.
not past karma.
Okay. So the way to liberation is to get rid of greed, craving, hate, and delusion. Right? Simply put, craving is desire, one thing this, one thing that. Right? Craving to be, want to be somebody, one thing. Aversion is not wanting to be, yeah? Not wanting something, not wanting to be in a particular thing. Not wanting to be in a particular place, not wanting to be in a particular job, or even not wanting to be in this world. That's aversion. And delusion is the delusion of saying that there is a permanent self in us. Right? That is, this is who I am. That's just a view. This is who other people are. That's the sort of view. Okay? And that view is conditioned by our likes and dislikes. You know, eating with your hand is definitely wrong. You have to eat with a fork and spoon. Or eating with chopsticks is acceptable. That's the kind of view. Depending, in the society which you are born. Okay. So we have to know, right? To expel that delusion, we have to know between what is called conventional reality and what is called absolute reality. You know, that is something that I've explained in my other courses. What conventional reality is simply that by convention, we agree that we should be driving on the left side of the road, not the right side of the road. But driving on the right side of the road in a particular country is right, not wrong. Absolute reality is that it's not right or wrong to drive on any side of the road, so long as everybody follows a particular road. That's absolute reality. Doesn't make a difference whether you choose left or right. You make your car, in a particular way, so convenient for you to drive in it. So that's the absolute. So we have to distinguish between what's conventional and what's absolute. One of the things like antiques, you say, yeah, antiques, the conventional reality. The absolute reality, is this stuff, it's really old, it can disintegrate any time, because there are very few of it, people value it a lot. As to its worth, it is conventional reality. The absolute reality, it is near to a disintegrated object, something that is greater. So we have to separate between what's convention and what's absolute reality. So in that way, we combat our delusion of what's real, by convention, and what's real by absolute reality. And then we can see what is absolutely true, which is that we function dependent origination. I come back to that because that's important in Buddhism. That's how we function, depending on contact, feeling alive, depending on feeling, craving, or its opposite, aversion and a whole series of other things arises depending on that. Okay? The view of yourself, who you are, is just a view in Buddhism. Okay? So I have to really get into just a small part of essential Buddhist thought, to come to know your practice in the Buddhist faith. Okay? Any other questions?
Bante, I have a small question. So just now you talked about craving and aiming, the difference between the two. Just want to clarify. So craving is like, oh, I should get this job, or I should get this grade. And aiming is like, if this goal is fits my practice, or like it's aligned to the 5 precepts and stuff, then I'll try to work towards it. But it's not like I should still get it, is it? Do you mean like that is the case?
You see, that's why I say it's important to know the difference between need to do and one thing, desire, and craving is like say, I want this job, I want this job, then you crave for this job. And clinging is you keep wanting this job, you keep wanting it, still in your heart, well, I must have this job. If I don't have this job, I won't be happy, or I get looked down by other people, or I won't be successful, That's craving, clinging. You build up all these things, must have, Now, that's craving, right? Now, if you think that I want this job, right? I aim to get this job. What do I need to do to get this job? How do I present myself in the interview? Right? What qualifications do I have to get this job? Right? What knowledge do I need to present? What background knowledge do I need to find out to be successful in this job? Do I really need this job? Okay, it doesn't come from, everything doesn't come from the desire. The desire is obsessed with a particular result. The need to do is about a process that you need to do to achieve a result. Okay, so you ask yourself, do I need this job? Yeah, I need this job because I want a good life. That's good enough. Okay, that's okay. But then you got to go back and say, what do I need to do? First of all, does my qualification entitle me to be able to get this job? What knowledge do I need to update myself? What do I need to do to present myself properly? What do I need to do to be able to successfully work in this area? See? So all this come through clearly comprehended, right? What this job requirements are. Desire is about wanting something but not doing anything about it. Craving about the result. Craving about the what do you call the benefits of the result. Oh, I can buy a car, with this, I can buy a house, I can impress people. It's all about that, right? It's not about what you need to do. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so you always have to ask, what do I need to do when you set the goal? And when you get it all lined up to be successful, all you have to do is take all the steps that you need to do. Say, I need a good tie, and you have to go and buy a tie, a coat, whatever, Okay? So that's the difference between need and craving. Craving is about results, about wanting the result, about how that result will make you happy. Okay, so when you think in terms of that way, you're perpetuating that craving, to building up how good it is, right? So how much you later on need to have it because of this building up of this job, okay? Or whatever that you want to do. Oh, I must get the next generation of iPhone, that kind of thing you build up. The question is, do you need it? What it is, the function compared to others. Prestige, oh, I got an iPhone. Okay?
Thanks, Bhante. That's very helpful.
Okay, always think in terms of what you need to do. That's important. Because that's the foundation of progress. Right. It's just like when you're building a house, you have to build a solid foundation. You cannot say, I want to build a house, never mind about the foundation, we just build it, I want to quick make house, Let's clear the fire and then build it, and hope it stands on it, that won't do, right? You need to build a foundation, no question about that. Okay.
Thank you, Bante. It is a very good answer, clarified a lot. I was just wondering about another thing that Bante mentioned earlier about wanting to help others and finding others' needs. It is a bit difficult, Bante. Sometimes we are driven by wanting to help others, but we don't understand, hard to understand their needs. How do we go about, Bante?
The wanting to help others, right? Yeah, and satisfy other people's needs.
Yes, Bante.
Right. Yeah. One thing to help others comes from ourselves. We start making thinking. What they need. It comes from ourselves. It comes to our own conception, right? Of who they are, our views, basically. Right. Now, satisfying somebody's needs is talking to somebody, finding out this situation. From there, finding out what they need. It is being mindfully when you talk to them, knowing them. Right? So it's a real situation, communicating with them. Yeah. Okay? So that satisfying something. Right? Because it comes from clearly comprehending somebody's situation through communicating with them. Wanting to help others is our only goal. I want to help this person because I'm able to help this person. I bet you don't know the person, this person probably needs help. Probably needs help. That's probably, you don't know. Then you create this scenario, he must need help because of this, and that. Your summation, your own creation, it may not match the reality of the thing. There is one-sided, everything within your head. All your views of things, all your mental identities that you created about yourself. Right? So it's not based on real communication with the person, real information. The other side is real communication and being aware of what the other person is. Comes from clearly comprehensive mindfulness. Mindfulness. So that's the thing. Comes from clear comprehension. One thing always comes from the world we create in our mind. Need to do comes from clearly comprehension what's external to you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Bante. Would there are no more questions, Bante?
Okay then. I'll chant the blessing before I leave you. The blessing is no, it's a how about triple jam? There's the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and with the help of the Deva, and hopefully with your own good karma, you're able to succeed in whatever goals that you determine are important for you, both the worldly goal as well as spiritual goals. Bhavatu Sapa Mangalang Rakhantu Sapa Devata Sapa Bhutanu Bhavena Sata Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sapa Mangalang Rakhantu Sapa Devata Sapa Dhamanu Bhavena Sata Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sapa Mangalang Rakhantu Sapa Devata Sapa Samhanu Bhavena Sata Soti Bhavantu Te. Okay, then good night, everybody.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for joining us at 3 a.m. from Malaysia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.